Hey YouTube, Shinobi here with a review of the Makai Kado Volume 2 Ginga Kishi Zero. So Zero, the Silver Fanged Knight. His name is comprised of, well, obviously there's the word Zero, but Gin and Kiba. His name was Ginga, and then he made it Rei and changed things around and all that fun stuff. So logo in the back at the blue fire, name down here, shiny silvery ness and all of that fun stuff. So I'm gonna move that since I need as much room as I can with these guys. And then boxes fell down. So here is Zero in his Makai armor. Very, very cool. A little bit more streamlined than Garo was. His armor is a lot more rounded than Garo's armor is, so it comes off looking a little bit sleeker, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I really do like Zero's armor, mostly just because I really dig silver. I like silver lots, mostly because it represents Lugia. But anyway, so his little like logo things down here at his belt area. Detail-wise, it's got pretty much everything you possibly want. This one comes across looking a little bit less stylized for some reason. It's probably because of the streamlinedness. Personally, I really dig it. The blue back here on the butt flap, little butt plate, looks really, really good. The inside details here comprise pretty much of a dark royal blue and this weird grayish color, kind of like Garo's green. So it looks really nice. And then the armor is entirely done in this sort of lime green accent color, which doesn't really look all that bad and compromises the silver very nicely. So as for articulation, let's see what we got going on here. In the head area, pretty much unrestricted. It can't look too far over in this direction. One, it exposes the joint, and two, the armor just gets in the way. But I don't really think you need to be looking that far over anyway, so it doesn't particularly matter. Jaw does open just like Garo. Speaking of the helmet details, look absolutely fantastic. Very, very cool. And it just looks really menacing, especially if you can get the light to reflect off the red eyes. Looks really nice. There's no light piping or anything like that, but I guess there's a little bit technically because there's a small gap right up here, but that's completely unintentional on the design part. Arms are pretty much unrestricted. It's hard to have it go all the way around because of this armor piece right here. You could probably force it if you wanted to, but I think it's pretty much just as easy to just go back this way. Speaking of, if you do that, there's a chance this piece will fall off. It's hooked on by a ball joint right here, so it's not particularly hard to get on and off, but it does have tendencies to pop off really easy. I have a lot of problems with this one over here, but there's a lot of problems with this figure that I'll get into shortly. Not so much with these hands, but with the other ones. So, articulation-wise, continuing, got some movement up here in the ab area. Down here at the waist, you do have the same movement going the other direction. Not too much else down here. Like Garo, the thigh movement is pretty much null. You got this and that. So you can go a little bit further back than Garo, but not much. His thigh armor is just a tad bit thinner, so he gets a little bit more range of movement. A single joint right there at the elbow. The hands are on a ball joint in there. Single joint at the knee. And then a little bit of movement down here at the feet. So a little bit more articulation than Garo because of the more streamlined armor, but not really enough to say, oh my god, he is so much better than Garo Evars. But overall, the details on this figure are just absolutely phenomenal looking, and I really do love this line. I'm a stickler for details. In fact, details more than articulation. So this line in particular is really, really right up my alley. My alley. There we go. So, we'll set him back here. I'll go ahead and put him on the pedestal. See if he falls over like Garo does. So, obviously he comes with the Ginroken, which is silver wolf swords. So these are right here. Die cast just like the Garoken was. Really, really beautiful. Not sure how well the light's reflecting. There we go. So you see nice blue handle here, the logo right there. There's a red line going up through the blade here. Looks absolutely gorgeous looking. And just like Garo, he comes with Ginroken, in which are colored differently. I'm not sure if that's show accurate or not, that when these get the Madou Fire, whether this turns into the lime greenish, pewterish copper color. But regardless, it does look pretty nice. And if you pose Garo with his Madou Fire weapon, then I would suggest doing so with Zero too, just because these do look pretty nice. As for hands, he comes with sword holding hands and splayed open hands. And the armor right here at the thumb does look really goofy to me, particularly when it's in a fist. Just because it's so big, but anyway. Yeah. So, now my nitpicking begins, and we will see why in a second. It's a really easy fix, but just the fact that you have to fix it's kind of irritating. So, go ahead and pop these out. Obviously, we're going to give them the two sword-holding hands. One thing I do want to mention that I will show off in a second is you can put the two Ginroken together to make the GingaGinroken. His shoulder pad just fell off. Actually, I lied. I hate lying. Lying's bad. No, I lied again. Stay. So if you take one of those pegs out, you can hook them together to make the Ginroken. So that's pretty cool. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can. There's no really easy way for him to hold it. Set that aside. Here's the little post that you have to remove. That just goes right back in there. So let's go ahead and put this little shoulder pad back on. Like I said, I have a lot of problems with that shoulder pad falling off. I think the plastic is just a little bit stretched. So I'll go ahead and pop this hand off too, just because it's a little bit easier to work with. So this hand's actually really tight. The fingers right here aren't very pliable, so it's actually a little bit difficult to get the sword in. So you have to kind of wedge it underneath his thumb and around, which stretches out the hand a bit, and it makes things a little bit loose. Like you can see in here, he doesn't hold it all that tight or well. It's a slight bit disappointing, actually, but if you wedge it far enough up, he can hold it pretty tight. It looks a little bit goofy, but he can hold it tight. Now my nitpick with the figure. Let me have him stand. That'd be nice. Let's get this hand in first. So these are die-cast swords, as I liked to point out before, and that does make him forward heavy. So you're gonna have to raise his arms up a bit and do some creative things in order to balance his weight out. However, between the not holding the swords all that well, because the hand is molded pretty bad, he has a drooping tendency because his shoulder isn't, the shoulder joint isn't strong enough to hold the arm up. So as you can see here, as I try to raise it, if you raise it high enough to the weight distribution's okay, it will hold fine. But if you try to make it a little bit lower towards his face, it'll start drooping this way and then droop all the way like that. or the shoulder pad will pop out, and all these various little things will happen because the toy was designed pretty bad. Now, my major flaw is the wrists. Like I said, these are just simple ball and sockets. They plug in, and then they droop. Or fall off. So it's a little bit better with the plastic one, but not that much better. That's how weak this joint really is. And a lot of the SICs use this style of hand too. And I mean, it works. It makes for very easy swapping. The ball and socket style just doesn't hold as tight as the typical figure arts one that has the little ball joint inside the wrist itself, and the hand has the socket. Those ones hold quite a bit better than these ones do. However, there is a lot of ways to fix this. Clear nail polish works very well. I haven't actually fixed mine yet. I have the nail polish to do so, but I haven't had a chance to actually do it yet because I did want to show off the fact that this is horribly loose in the review. So the only pose I can pull off right now is actually him just standing here like this. So let's bring the turntable and just do that, because that's all I got. So Zero's a nice looking figure. The only problem is he can't hold his swords, and that's pretty much what makes Zero Zero. The armor itself looks absolutely gorgeous. The details are spot on perfect. I see absolutely no flaws with the sculpt of the figure or the detailed look of the figure. However, some areas like the shoulder pads popping off constantly, the wrists popping off constantly, the shoulder joint not being tight enough to hold the weight of the die-cast sword are all pretty major flaws in my book. Garo's a little bit better, in my opinion, since he didn't really have too many of those problems that plague this figure, which is a shame because I like Zero's character, I like Zero's armor, I like the color silver, I like his two swords, and I like everything about him. It's just there's so many problems with the figure that it's just not really worth the retail price. If you're a huge fan of Zero, I would say pick it up just because it does look nice, and if you can work around the flaws, then it makes for a great display piece. However, if you're looking for a figure that you can get some dynamic poses out of, don't expect it from this one without adding in modifications of your own. Like I said, it is easy to modify the ball and socket joints by using clear nail polish and stuff like that to make the joint thicker and tighter. The shoulder joint, I'm not really sure what you would do up there to fix it, but the same thing can be done to the shoulder pads to hopefully make them not pop out as easy. So, lots of flaws, great sculpt, great paint applications, just plagued by not having good enough joints. Really, that's the only major flaw. So if you look past that, I recommend it. If not, hunt down the exclusive figure arts version, or really, you're screwed because there really isn't any other option. You can hunt down the old Equip and Prop version, which should be pretty much the same as this one, but hopefully with tighter joints. So you can try to hunt down that one if you want to. There's also the SIC Kiwami, but that one's a small 5-inch figure or 4-inch figure as opposed to the 7-inch scale. So there's lots of different choices for Zero fans. I would probably recommend this one the most just because I really love the way it looks. But if you want a better posable figure, you might want to go with a Kiwami or Equip and Prop or something like that. So you can check out shukenshobi.com for latest updates on my reviews and hauls. And of course, check out Riders, Rangers, and Rambles.com, bringing the latest token news in the craziest way possible. So take care and have a great one.